What's going on, people? Welcome to the live call-in show. Roy Hodgson has officially been announced, but enough of what we think. It's time to hear what you guys think with your comments, and also the lines will be open for you guys to join us live to have your say. As always, if you do enjoy the content, people, make sure to smash a like button and also subscribe. Let's try to reach 3,600 subscribers. We're 30 away. Let's try to reach that ASAP. Thank you for all your great support. Big day today. It pretty much, probably one of our biggest news so far. It's going to happen next season in terms of Hodgson, our manager. It has been confirmed. Some people are happy. Some people are angry. We've got a panel here with different views as well. Some people are not happy. I can tell you that. Whereas some people are not as bothered. But look, I'm going to start off with you, AJ. Roy Hodgson, I made my own little reaction video when the news was announced earlier on today, just going through some of the details and go through some of the comments as well. He has been announced for one season. Are you happy with the move?
It wasn't my first choice. There are a couple other names out there I would have preferred. However, he's here now. I'll back him 100%. I mean, he's saying all the right things. Let's just hope that the club backs him and gets him the right place so he can implement what kind of plan and targets he wants to put in place. Whether that sort of does happen remains to be seen. We definitely got some work to do if we want to achieve those said targets that Hodgson said on his announcement. And Parish has to back him in that side of things. So, or all the ownership essentially has to back him in that side of things, no matter who's in charge. I think now it's a case of, you know what? Now we've got the manager in place, whether it's the manager I like. It's time to just start building. Pre-season's upon us. Let's just get prepped as best as we can for the season ahead, and fingers crossed.
So look, the lines are open right now. We're going to bring on people onto the stage in about 5 minutes or so. It won't be too long, one by one, so everyone can have their say. So if you want to join us now to join, there's a bit of people already waiting behind the scenes. If you want to join us to have your place, then make sure to click on the pinned comment. Patrick, I'm not going to even ask you if you're happy because I know you're not happy about this. So explain to me why you're not happy about this move.
So back on May 17th, Matt Woolsey wrote an article in Athletic about the manager situation. He mentioned Graham Potter, Ange Postecoglou, Cooper, Fonseca, Slot, and Rogers. And we now have Roy Hodgson. So I'm just trying to figure out. I don't understand if we had a serious managerial search, have ended up with the same manager we had at the end of the season. For me, it just shows again no ambition by the club. Signing for more than 1 year, possibly, I could actually go for it because it makes sense. I've never heard of a Premier League side never sign a manager for one season and announce it. He'll be here for 1 year. If you're a player, a serious player of any ilk, any position, why would you come to Palace for one season to play the manager for 1 year? So for me, it just doesn't show. I understand totally Parish's plan. I'll go back to again. I understand the academy. I understand building the stand. I understand staying in the division, but it doesn't show any ambition to get Hodgson back for another year. You guys want to get crazy about last year? That's great, okay? The 10 games he was great. Let's go over those 10 games, all right? We beat Leicester, Leeds, Southampton, all relegated, okay? We drew to Everton, who we'd lost to earlier, lost to Wolves away, beat West Ham 4-3, lost to Spurs, beat Bournemouth, drew to Fulham, then drew to Forest. So we got 18 points out of those 10 matches. 3 of those teams were relegated, okay? So if you want to say how we played better under Hodgson, okay, Eze was much better, Elisa was better, etc. But you guys seriously think we're going to carry that type of form into this season with this squad, without Wilf, without Olise, and without a recognized striker? I don't see it. So yeah, he said all the right things today. AJ made a point. He wants like we're going to finish top 10. No chance. No chance. Let me read the team that are going to finish ahead of us next season in no particular order. All right. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Spurs, Man United, Brighton, Villa, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford. That's 12 teams. Come at me. Name one team that maybe we're not finishing top 10. I don't care what anybody says. So I understand. Let me finish. You asked me to talk. Let me talk. So I understand what Hodgson is saying, but you made the good point. If he's not back, it's not going to happen, and we know he's not going to get backed. Now, I'll be happy to come back on the channel if we sign a striker, a right back, or whom replacement for Wilf, and they are quality players. But unless he is back, he's not going to. This squad is not finishing top 10. We'll be lucky to stay in the division, and I'm being serious. We're lucky to stay up this year because you don't prove this squad. And people talk about last year. Last year, we weren't even in relegation zone at any point last season, under Vieira or under Hodgson. We were 12th for most of the season. Yeah, we had a major dip because we had that major form issue in January to March, but we were never in a relegation zone. But this season, I fear we will be because this squad isn't. It's not very good. It's not.
Okay. So my question to that is, why are you more upset about Roy Hodgson joining when all the matters they're talking about is more about the recruitment stage? Because I agree. I think ambition is bigger than the manager. And if we don't have a striker, if we don't have the right winger, if we don't have Wilf, what other manager would be able to push us into the top 10 in the first place? Because that what you're talking about there is a problem of recruitment, which I do agree. But then again, that recruitment side of things is not on the Hodgson. That recruitment side of things is on C. Parish and the board. Now, if they don't go and buy these players, then 100%, I think everyone's going to be annoyed. On the flip side, if they do go and buy these players, I don't think many people will care about Hodgson coming back to the club because it'll show a bit of ambition. So, for me, I think the biggest picture out of it all is not just the Hodgson coming back, is the fact, what do we do with Hodgson coming in? Does that mean another mediocre window? Because I think Hodgson would let that slide, because I don't think Hodgson is going to cause a massive problem with the board if we don't sign a striker, or if we don't sign a right winger or a left winger, as you say. But then again, Patrick, aren't what you're saying more on the board rather than Roy Hodgson?
100%. But let me go back to the manager we talked about. Potter would have attracted players. Postecoglou went to Spurs, would have attracted players. Cooper attracted players at Forest. Fonseca at Lille would have attracted players to Palace. Slot would have he won every division in Feyenoord, would have attracted players. Rodgers would have attracted players. With all respect to Roy Hodgson, again, he said he's going to be here for 1 year. He's not going to attract players. Vieira, for all of his tactical faults, he attracted Olise, Gahey, Anderson, Edward, Hughes. He signed those players. They came because of him. AJ Hughes to say the Vieira pull was big. That is an actual fact. With all respect to Hodgson and recruitment, he doesn't have any pull. So absolutely, D, it is obviously on the recruitment, but that part of that is the fact that he's already announced he's going to be here for 1 year. A 1 year plan doesn't work. Now, if we decide Potter for a year, I'd have the same problem. Potter can't get anybody for a year, makes no sense. Let's just stop for a second. It's not about just Hodgson. It's about the fact we find a manager for 1 year. It doesn't show any ambition. That's my problem.
Yeah. But I feel like you're misjudging your frustrations. You talk about Hodgson coming back, but then again, if we don't sign those players, and as you said, if we're not going to sign these players, and you talk about Vieira pool, I get Vieira had a pool, but we had to spend money to bring in those players in the first place. If we're not going to try and bring in those players in the first place, then forget about any type of pool, because we don't need any type of pool, because we're not bringing in players. And I think that's the biggest thing about this. And this is where we're going to see the true colors of the club. What did they actually want to do? Did they sign Roy Hodgson for 1 year? Pure fact of they don't want to spend money. They know that it's a safe bet and they want to progress like that. If that's the case, then I think many people are going to be frustrated. But then again, there's a bit of time till the window shuts. And honestly, I don't have faith in the board. I do feel like this was a cheap option. I don't think they brought back Roy for the players liking Roy. I think that definitely plays a part. But I think the bigger picture is they brought back Roy to not spend as much money. I think that's the main objective here, more than the players not liking Roy. I think that's why it's only for 1 year as well. So, look, we'll see it. But then again, Patrick, I think Roy, in his last 10 games, I said this as well in the earlier stream, where I was, it was breaking news, so I just jumped on straight away without even digesting the news as proper. Look, Roy, he ended the season well last year, and I'm not saying that that's going to continue to this year. I think that's the biggest question mark, because momentum is a big thing. We've had a nice little break. We have pre-season. But saying that, there's also some positives out of this. It's Roy's last year. And we have seen it even in the past, Patrick. I know Roy's last year, full year under when we had James McCarthy, we had an old Asian squad. It wasn't great. But then again, in 2019, when we had the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Andros Townsend, and Zaha's, Roy did play some bit of exciting football then. So what my assumption is, and the positivity that I'm trying to take into going into next season, is that Roy might try to play that same type of football with the players that we've got, because we have got exciting football. And if they're not on the leash as we saw in the last 10 games, then we could potentially go for it. But then again, that's ifs and buts. Like, we will see. Time will tell.
Name the exciting players. Name them. Name the exciting players.
Eze, Elise.
Right. Elise is injured. He's injured.
Decore. I think Lerma's going to be a good addition as well.
Okay.
And then Mitchell, I think he got the best out of Mitchell as well. In the last 10 games.
I'm not having Mitchell. I'm not having Mitchell as an exciting player.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So we're all on the channel this year talking about how poor he was last season. Now, could he bounce back and have a better season? Yes, but you can't name him. At least I'll give you Eze, I'll give you Decore, definitely. But you acting like you have 7, 8 like top class exciting players. We don't. Now, I know Tim in the chat was talking about, well, let's just add some of the younger players. Younger players don't play on the Hodgson. So I would like to look forward to Raksaki, Banks, Phillips, Ozo. I'd love to see them play, get through it. If they play, I'll come on the channel, I'll be happy to say, you know what? I'm glad the guys are getting a chance to play. They're young, exciting, great. We're doing well. I just don't see it's going to happen.
Yeah. But just to object to that one, Patrick.
Which one?
He might not have a choice, because he's going to sink or swim on this one, and I'll tell you why. Our squad's not big enough where we have 2 or 3 players for each position. So we're one injury crisis away from Roy having to pick those kids anyway.
Right.
Or the board has to turn around and spend the money and bring in the 3 or 4 players that we want and we need to make the squad better. So you see what I'm saying? You're a little bit out of catch-22 there, because you drive a fair point. Historically,
AJ, I'd rather he just played the kids. Don't go out and buy a bunch of players. I'd rather he play Raksaki and Ozo. I really would. I honestly play Adam Roller as a backup to Mitchell at left back. I'd rather he play the kids. I honestly would rather have him try the kids and not go and spend a bunch of money, because I'm telling you right now, we all know, and you're right, D, my frustration is at the board, and I am probably, it's not a Hodgson, it's at the board. But if I know the Hodgson doesn't play kids, then he has to. So if you tell me now he's going to play the kids, then you know what? I'm all for this project for a year, because I think it's exciting. You play those academy kids and let them give them a chance to play, and you're only be for a year. If you're gonna be for a year, AJ, why not play the kids? You got nothing to lose, right? I mean, you ain't gonna fire me. I'm not gonna leave. You know what I mean? But he's not gonna do it. You have to show the path. So
I don't think it's a. By the way, I don't think it's a project. I wouldn't call this a project. I just think it's a.
Paper in the cracks, man.
I don't think you do 1 year projects like this. I think it's a short term plan. But look, Stan, I'm gonna.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, bro.
Wonderful.
Just quickly before bringing others, what do you make of Hodgson coming back to the club for another season?
I have mixed feelings. I wouldn't say I'm bouncing off the walls and delighted. I understand why the club's done it, but I just think it shows a real lack of ambition. Again, is probably the best way to put it. I don't mind him, but Patrick, we've obviously gone back and forth in the chat about this a few times. I just listen, like, what's the end game here? Like, are you gonna, like, we're 10 years in the Premier League here, lads. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not being funny, but like, so 10 seasons in the Premier League, you went for the project with Vieira, it didn't work out, fair enough. You've had months to go and look for other managers. You could have approached Potter. Apparently Fonseca was great, but they didn't want to pay his buyout. They didn't want to bring his backroom staff in. And listen, I've been saying this since the end of the FA Cup final, and people on Twitter and that have always been rubbish. You're talking nonsense. Da, da, da. Where's the fucking money? Where is the money? We're 10 years a Premier League team. Where is it? Parrish he's a spin doctor. I'm not his biggest fan. People know that. He's a spin doctor. He's spinning round and round. Take the club to the next level. All right, cool. But apparently we're in another season of Roy coming back and no money for transfers. So like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. I do think our squad's decent enough, but I just think it's ridiculous. It's just really frustrating that why has he not got 60 or 70 million to buy those 2 or 3 good additions to take us to the next level? Why is it like?
Yeah.
Where is all of this, man? Why are you bringing Roy Hodgson back? Roy, honestly, everyone, Palace fans love Roy. He's gonna die in that dugout, lads. He's gonna die in that.
Don't say that.
No, don't say that. Don't say that, Stan. I don't agree with that.
Even I don't go. I wouldn't even go there.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, I don't wish that, but I'm just saying an analogy.
Let's not even. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
He said it with chest. Let him be. Let him be.
Shut up, AJ.
No. Yeah, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. But I was gonna say.
It's after watershed time. There are no rules.
Yeah. We need to have a bit of rules. Otherwise,
Yeah,
let me bring on. Yeah. No. I know what you mean.
Even putting that thought out there, positive. You know what I mean? I know what you mean, though.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring on Alex, who's been waiting for a while. If you guys want to join us, make sure to click on the pinned comment to have your say. As well. Alex, Hodgson announced for one more season. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I am maybe a little bit more optimistic. I'm reading some of the comments that Tim's making, and I kind of feel similar. I don't know if he's coming on too, but it's kind of one of those things where I think people are over saying how much the players like him. I just like the way that we were playing the last 10 games. And personally, I like the way that we played the first 3 years under Hodgson anyways. So, and I think a lot of the criticisms of him are a bit ageist. Like he was set in his ways, but really Patrick Vieira was just about as set in his ways. I'd say the only way he wasn't was with Hamada. That's the only instance that I could think of with the same squad where he just did not play somebody the way that Vieira did. And I do agree, Patrick, that there is an issue with recruitment. But if we're not going to shell out the money, then that's not the issue. So it's like, even if we had Patrick Vieira, if they're like saying we only have like 20, 30 million to spend, like you can't spend no money out of situations when everybody's asking for it. So I do have a question though for Dee and AJ. Since you guys are in the UK, what would it take for you guys to like go to like a parish out protest?
Parish out protest.
Wow,
I'll be honest.
That's a loaded question.
That's a very good question.
A little bit. But let's say that we don't do anything until August 12th. Is that parish out?
Sorry, what was the question?
If all we do is Jefferson Lerma and nobody of importance, like maybe Damari Gray we get or something like that, but something that doesn't push the needle. Are you starting to support like a parish out type movement?
I'll tell you what, Alex. Sorry, did you want to go?
I'll quickly say my bit and then you say it. So I've people that know on it. So it's hard for me to just pick a side because I'm trying to moderate things and I try to keep it as neutral as possible. But I've already said it from ages ago. Well, not ages ago, back in January, that I've lost faith in Steve Parish. I feel like I lost faith in all the owners, to be fair, for different reasons. So I've already lost faith, and if that happens, then I guess that will be like extreme levels. If we only sign Lerma, and maybe if there's a movement, then personally I would probably be supportive of it. That's how I stand with it. With Parish, but yeah, even right now, if you also ask me if I'm Parish in or Parish out, if I had to pick a side, I'll probably be out more than in because yeah, there are problems that I don't like. I think he's done a tremendous job. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about taking the club to the next level. But AJ, go ahead.
Right, yeah, you're right. That's quite a loaded question. So first things first.
I'm not trying to get you guys in trouble.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. I like it actually. So the first things first is the Parish out scenario is for me is at the end of the day, yeah, I've respected what he has done historically for the club, but I do, and I have mentioned on the show previously throughout probably most of last season that he has a lot too much power for somebody with so little shares. I do.
Is there any other team that's like that? Even
not traditionally really in a traditional business structure, somebody with so little power wouldn't have much say.
Right.
That just doesn't happen, especially in UK business structure. It doesn't traditionally work that way, unless you put very special instructions in place. The thing is, yeah, on shows and stuff previously, I have spoke about how I feel that he does spin things because PR is his thing. PR is is what has made him a millionaire. So the man can sell ice to Eskimo and sand to Egyptians. That's well documented. The problem with doing a collective protest
Reading Tim's comment.
Fair.
Yeah.
But the thing with doing a collective protest nowadays is the way that society works. Now, I don't want to get too political, but the problem you've got is, there are far too many keyboard warriors and not people that will do physical action, because people can post parish out comments and send abuse to him all day, but at the end of the day, on a face-to-face basis, they probably wouldn't even lift their eyes off the ground for starters, much less say anything to him, much less protest in a more direct way. It's just the way things are with a lot of people in a lot of situations. I don't think you would be able to get... I think you'd have maybe one set of fans that might particularly do that, but the chances of being able to get everybody together collectively and protest against a football club at Premier League level is very extreme, because all they've got to do is threaten you with cutting your season ticket off or CCTV and passing your details to the police. And remember, trying to iron out the politics a little bit here, but remember, there are a lot of rules changes and political changes going on in the UK, which would not enable you to be able to protest like you once were able to anyway.
Wow. Okay.
So,
can I? Sorry, AJ, to interrupt. Can I just say, like, as much as it's frustrating, I think I'm going to go to a protest because Palace are going to finish 14th in the Premier League. Like, it's ridiculous. Right?
It's a
Now,
I guess
they're at the bottom
people are
of the
afraid of
championship,
relegation, though. Yeah.
If they're at the bottom of the championship facing double relegations, then it's different. But like, I'm not going to protest Parish out because Palace are 14th in the Prem. Obviously, like, I want to finish as high up and whatever. But
yeah. I think people will be more frustrated if it was, let's say, Lerma at the end of the window, but there's still a long way to the window shuts. But
agreed.
Yeah, I don't think we'll reach that stage yet. But I'll be honest. What it feels like with the divide that's going on right now in the fan base, Alex. I think we are. If you was to ask me if we're getting away from it or if we're reaching closer, I think we're reaching closer to that stage. Funny enough, I do think that maybe we're not as close as we think, but we are reaching. There's a lot of frustration in relation to Steve Parish that I've been seeing over the past year or so, and I think that is due to expectations now. There's more expectation than there was before. Before, you could easily say, let's stay up, and that's it. But now, because we've been in the Premier League for 10 years, you just want to see a bit more than staying up, especially with what other clubs are trying to do. So I think there's a lot of pressure. I think this Roy appointment adds a bit more pressure to Steve Parish. In a way, he might see it as a safe bet, but I think to the fans want to see a bit more. So it adds a bit more pressure.
Agreed.
But Alex, before you go, I just wanted to ask, in terms of Roy Hodgson, where do you expect to finish now next season? He said top 10.
Okay.
That's what his words were.
So I expect us to... Well, first off, I think that it's not impossible for us to get 10th or 9th, but I don't see any scenario above that. Unless something wild changes. I think a cup run is possible with the players that we have. Just a few things, because like I think sometimes we kind of overhit how important right back is, but I just wanted to make a point that without Elise, the main issue that everyone has with right back is overlap. And if we don't have Elise, we really need somebody who's a good defender at right back. And so maybe at least for the first few games, we would have always played Ward. I wouldn't want somebody like Pedro Porro or Trent Alexander-Arnold out there when you've got like a shit like right wing. I'm not saying that ours are shit, but they're definitely not Elise.
I take my Palace. I don't care who's in front of them. I would take Pedro Porro at Palace any day of the week.
Trent.
Yeah, but
I'd drive in there.
We're not being realistic. Yeah, we have to be realistic.
I'm picking from America. I'll take him to 7.
We have to be. We have to. I don't think. Yeah, like I mean, I'll take.
I'll take examples that were too good. So like Joel Veldman, like
Glenn Johnson is probably like more realistic right now.
Glenn Johnson.
I'll take Glenn Johnson right now, maybe, depending on our situation.
Well, if it was Joel Veldman, like he's a little bit better on offense than Wardy, but like it's not that important at the moment when you kind of have to shore up that side defensively because you're going to have a new person there. If it's JRS or if it's a Boe or whoever, I think that will be important. That right back, you have experience at right back is important.
It's going to be Jordan Ayew. So it'll be
probably be Ayew, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
100%.
but look, there
we'll
are
go
lots of
back
people
to the
waiting
wing.
behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
that makes sense.
There are a lot of people waiting, Alex. Sorry. Yeah, finish your point. Sorry, finish your point.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say maybe somebody else could talk about, like, because we have so many midfielders, like, do we? I know we don't like playing Eze out in left wing or Schlupp, but is that an option? That was the only other thing I was gonna say.
In Parish's eyes, it's definitely an option. It's definitely an option. In everyone else's, no.
Okay. All right. Look, Alex, really appreciate it. Cool. Really,
I appreciate it too. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll hopefully catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, take it easy.
If you guys want to call in, go on. If you guys want to call into the show and have your say, make sure to click on the pinned comment. If you're enjoying the stream as well, let's hit the like button, people, and subscribe if you're new to the channel to not miss out on future Paris content. Patrick, before we take on the next guest, what was your question?
No, it's to Stan. Stan sounds like the guy that I know, but in our chat, he's actually a different person. Are you ever like, are you? Is this the real Stan? Or is it? Who's the guy arguing me in the chat every day? And it's the same guy now who I agree with 100%. What's going on, man? What's going on?
What's
going on, Stan?
I'm just being realistic. You know what, Patrick? I tell you this, right? For years, I've got annoyed with the ownership, the lack of ambition, etc., etc. And after the summer transfer window last year, and all the madness that came out with all the Vieira, and then he got sacked, and you know, and Roy coming in, I said, you know what, I'm not getting annoyed about it anymore. Whatever, let them do what they got to do. Because the owners, they will do what's right for them. They're not going to do what's right for me, what's right for you. They'll do what's right for them. So let them do it.
And I think that's a big issue. No, not an issue. Like, not in terms of an issue. Like, I know what they're trying to do, but I think it's an issue in terms of what we want as fans and what they want as owners. I think that's the biggest issue. Right now, I think they're happy to keep the investment safe, which I understand.
Say owner as opposed to owner. Even though it's just one person. It's not owners. It's one owner. He's the one that's running things. It's not owners. He's doing. I know what Paris is trying to do.
It's owners. It's not. He runs things, but there's other people that have
they want to get out. I don't think Textor agrees. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's really just Paris, which is fine. I mean, he runs the club. He can do what he wants. So it's just one owner. It's just Paris. So.
Okay, let's bring on Jordan. Who's been waiting for a while. Let's see. Jordan, how you doing? Sorry about the wait.
You okay? Hi, buddy. You alright?
How you doing? Yeah, we're all
good. You, mate. I'm okay. You.
Yeah. Same old. As you can tell, it's a long day. Roy Hodgson officially announced. What do you make of
it? Personally, I knew that this was all going to happen. Obviously, when he finished his first season, personally. But what I don't get is after the season's finished, why did we not look at initial replacements straight away? Like, there was a bunch of managers out there, like Potter, like Brendan Rodgers, like who else? I don't know. Like, could you guys name some of them for me?
Fonseca.
Yeah.
Potter,
Hotner. Sorry.
Hutler, I just mean, why was Parish not sitting down the week after the season discussing all of them options with Dougie Freeman and saying, oh, look, we've got a list of bunch of managers that we can choose to take that club to the next level. So why couldn't he just sit down with him and discuss it all with him then? Because that is what just beyonds me. Why have we kept Hodgson on for another season?
But look, my theory on that is
jobs for the lads, mate. Jobs for the lads. That's why.
I think personally, what I think, this is a theory, it's not true. But based on the reports, we have interviewed other candidates. So it wasn't just, I don't think Parish was just sitting down for like a month or so. So it does seem like other candidates were considered. But I don't know exactly who was interviewed. But there were reports out there that interviews were ongoing place. So my theory was that in the back of their mind, they always had Hodgson as like the number one option. But they're willing to hear out other managers. And if another manager just really saw themselves, then we could have potentially went for that. But I don't think we was going to go out of our way to bring in another manager apart from Hodgson. But I think there were them interviews behind the scenes. So I guess on top of that, you can ask the question, why is that the case in the first place? I mean, do you understand why they have why they, got Roy Hodgson for another year?
Personally, I think because of the group of players that we've got that have made them settle at the club to be happy. Because I think you obviously understand the situation with Eze and stuff. Because obviously he played a lot less games under Vieira, and I just think Eze, beyond the second half of last season, started to really slow like the way he felt, and I think so it was sad to see because Eze should be a player that should be thriving under Vieira, but no, he's thriving under Hodgson. So I don't know, just it's hard to work that one out really. I think Eze's a different player under Hodgson than he is under Vieira.
Yeah, well, he was. He got into the England squad under Vieira. He wasn't playing his best football. He was really, really bad at times, and Hodgson managed to get the best out of him. I think that's one of the positives that you have to give to Roy Hodgson. And I think that's a positive even going into next season. If you can get the best out of some of these players in terms of even like motivation and get a head straight, then that could come a long way more than anything. But Jordan, for you, what is the expectation now next season? Roy said top 10 finish. Some people are saying that's just PR talk. That's not going to happen. Are you confident that we can finish in the top 10 with the squad? What's the minimum expectations?
Personally, this squad is capable of finishing top 10. But personally, I think next season is going to be the same old typical Palace finish top half.
Why do you think
Jordan? Yeah, I'm gonna say why. How does this squad finish top 10? Again, I'll just name 10 teams:
Ooh,
City, Arsenal,
good
Liverpool,
question.
Chelsea, Newcastle, Spurs, Man United, Brighton, Villa, West Ham. That's 10.
Good
How we can
question,
finish top of the
Patrick.
head when they all spend money, they all got really good managers. Callum won trophies last season. I mean, I want to believe it. I really want to believe what Hodgson said today, but I didn't even include Fulham and Brentford. I think it can get better, and they were better than us last year, both of them. So I can't really get top. How are we doing this? Yes, AJ.
Patrick, we've got one more
we
team.
finished above Chelsea last season.
Yeah,
Hold on,
because they
Patrick.
had a bad manager. They just hired Pochettino. AJ, brother, I love you. You got to be joking, right? I had a
I'm only toying with you.
Right, let Jordan reply.
Yeah, sorry, Jordan.
Do you know what's worse? Brighton in Europe. That's even worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Forget about them, mate.
But
It's
so
worse.
the flip side to that, Patrick, is maybe some teams, because they're in Europe, it might impact the league positions. There's a lot of teams. There's 8 teams in Europe. And when you look at Villa, when you look at Brighton's, we're going to see how much they really are. Like, Brighton only had one good season. Like, of course, they've had some half-decent season before, but this was, like, the best season. Let's see how they do next year in Europe as well as the league. So there's
playing
that
Thursday, Saturday. It's going to be hard.
Right. So, Stan, great point.
Thursday,
So,
Sunday,
what makes you think that Wolves, no European football, won't be better next season? Everton, who have been rubbish for years, cannot continue to be that bad, okay? Now that they have a decent manager in Daesh, all right? Forest, last year, spent a lot of money on a lot of players, have a good manager, and had to all bedded those players in. Bournemouth spending a crap load of money this season, right? And Burnley, who played, if you watched them last year, played brilliant football with a great manager last year. I didn't name those teams ahead of us. What if they play better next season?
Yeah, but we're not.
But then,
Wait. You can make the argument. I mean, we played very good under Hodgson as well. There's an argument for Palace.
These teams spent money and have better squads than we do.
But the thing, with those examples you use, 2 of those teams, our finances is not great, but their finances is dire. Wolverhampton's manager, Lopetegui might walk out of Wolves because he's not getting promised anything. Everton, God knows what's going on with them. They're spending almost 95% of their income.
Yeah, but Daesh is a good manager, and he got Burnley into Europe. All right, so now he's
but at least with Burnley, he had little money. Everton have no money.
Okay.
95%.
Got a better squad than us.
95. Who's got a better squad than us?
I said I don't think Burnley have a better squad than Palace.
Sorry.
I thought you said something
else.
If you watched them last year, though, Stan, they play some, and a lot of them loanies, and they're going to have to build the squad. But one, good manager, play really good Premier League level football, and seemed like Fulham last year came out of the last year championship team last year. Fulham finished ahead of us last year. It can happen. Is my point. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying Burnley could be ahead of us. So my point is, if that was to happen, they talk about 14th, 15th. You know what I'm saying? I get what you guys are saying. Yeah, it could be an issue with Europe, but I'm just saying there are other teams that we don't even talk about. I didn't mention
There's no
Luton,
Europe,
I don't know, man. It sounds a little bit too negative, bro. I think it's not great,
It's realistic,
but
bro.
it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it's not that bad. Like, but it's dead.
Like-
because there's no
I'll
progression.
say it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that bad, bro.
Wait, hold on. Is Zaha back?
We don't know.
Okay. Do we have a striker?
We got
Yeah.
2 average ones.
We've got
Alright.
2.
Okay, fair point. We got 2, right? And have we made any sign besides Jefferson Lerma? Now, in a month from now, if we've signed 3 or 4 players, I'll come back and I'll say, oh man, someone say great signing, someone say great signing. But right now, today, their squad is not very good. I don't care what you guys say. It doesn't have Zaha, it doesn't have Elise, it doesn't have a striker, and we've added 1 player to our midfield. You can't tell me it's better than last year's team. You cannot tell me that. You cannot tell me that. I don't care. You cannot tell me the team's better than last year.
So hang on. With Lerma in that team, plus everybody there fitness-wise, you don't think the team's better?
No, not without Zaha.
I disagree.
So
I disagree.
Jordan, what do you think about it? So
Oh,
Jordan,
okay.
what do you make of it? Do you think the team is better than last season?
It's better in the sense that we've brought someone in that obviously it's hard that obviously we're trying to get someone in and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say if the team's better or not when we still got a long way till the window shuts.
And I agree with that.
We'll see. We'll see.
I
When
said today. I'm talking about today.
But we don't even know if Zaha's coming back or not. If Zaha comes back, that changes a lot of things as well. I think that front line is very good. We just need the striker.
I'm saying, but we're talking. You can't listen. Can you read the future? I'm talking about just today.
No,
That's what I
but-
know right now. I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read in the future because Palace could win the championship.
But a lot of teams are worse today. You can make the argument a lot of teams are worse today. West Ham are still having the problems.
Who's worse?
West Ham are still having problems with not bringing in players. I've seen West Ham fans complain like Palace fans. I've seen other teams complain like Palace fans as well in terms of lack of transfers. So it's still very early. Of course, you want to do your business early, but
Declan Rice sale. They're not going to use it. Really?
Well, they are going to use it, Patrick, but then also teams are going to know that they have £100 million in their pocket, so they're going to be overcharged for whatever play that they have.
I get that, but again,
So it's still early. That's my point. Like,
and
it's the first of preseason today.
They're okay. They're doing fine. West Ham are going to be fine without Declan Rice. You say, other teams. I want your name. Who's gotten worse from last year?
It's hard to say right now. It's hard to say right now.
I'm saying based on what you know today. I'm talking just based on what team's gotten worse. Spurs got a new manager.
Wolves got worse. Wolves got worse. Wolves.
I'd say Bournemouth.
No, you don't know who they signed then. You didn't look at their
Clive
got worse, but
you
Clive,
you love
it's hard to
Justin
say.
Kluivert. I heard you on this show talk about how you love Justin Kluivert. Now you don't like
Yeah.
him.
Okay.
However, let me finish.
Okay.
They lost Steven Stanislas and signed Clivert, but guess who their best player was last season?
Jefferson Lerma,
Who's he play for?
Palace.
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But look,
By the way,
Jordan.
I already picked one below us, but I'm just saying. I picked
Before-
one below us. Just so you know.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay.
Okay. There were at least 12 teams ahead of us, but you're right.
Okay.
Bournemouth haven't got better. All right, you're right.
There's guests waiting behind the scenes. Let's quickly go through Jordan. So Jordan, before we move on to the next guest, just on Roy Hodgson, what would you give the appointment out of 10 as a Palace fan? What do you make of it? Out of 10.
Out of
In terms of
10,
how
I'd
happy you
probably
are.
give it happy. I'm happy that he's here for another season. Obviously, that he's gonna obviously let us play better football in terms of obviously not the best, but I got friends of mine saying, "Oh, we're going backwards as a club," but it's all right for them to say because it's they don't know how we feel as a club going forward.
So what would you give it out of 10? In terms of 10, you're the
I'd say
happiest
a
fan on
5.
earth. 1, you're the most miserable. Okay, you're 5. Okay, fair enough. I think you're right in the middle, and a lot of people will agree with that as well. But look, Jordan, we hopefully we catch up with you again soon. Really great call, and thank you once again for calling as well.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Yeah, for that.
Take care. If you guys want to join in and have your say,
Guys, I've got a quick question then.
Yeah, quickly, AJ.
If because the rumor has it that Hodgson might have potentially been Wilf's decision, right? So if that means Wilfred signs the new deal, would you happily have taken Roy Hodgson this year?
But with
Yeah,
Will
you
coming
have
back,
to.
100%. Yes, 100%.
Okay,
Yep. No doubt.
fair enough.
Fair
Let's
enough.
bring on Callum next, who's been waiting for a while. Callum, how you doing? Sorry about the wait. Hodgson for another year. What do you make of it all?
I think that, you know, it's been all right, but this Hodgson appointment it's not the greatest, but I'm not mad at it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's what we expected at the end of the day. I think it's going to be another, you know, average season at best. Like Patrick, Patrick's naming all them teams that finish above us. Like it's not all doom and gloom, but it's not looking the brightest either.
So, in terms of what Roy said himself,
Callum,
he's
by the way, I like you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you, Patrick. You're my favourite, mate.
So in terms of the top 10 finish, what Roy has said, do you think that is achievable then?
Oh, mate, it's
That's
bollocks.
what he thinks.
Load of bollocks. Load of absolute bollocks. I tell you, it's going to be another 11th to 14th season, and nothing's going to change. Even if Zaha leaves, I've seen he's accepted like offers from like Fenerbahce, Lazio, and all that. Like get Lerma in, any other signings, nothing's going to happen. Honestly, it's going to be another standard season. Yeah, we could. I think the best case scenario here from now on is we do normal this season, get a manager in at the end of this season, right? Carry on after that, and then we start building from that at the end of this season.
So, Callum,
Yes,
there's two managers coming in the end of the season, mate. One of them is either Paddy McCarthy or he's getting Southgate in after he bottles the Euros again. And that's what's going to happen. Like, trust me, I can see this, man. Like, I can read Steve Parish like a book.
But that's the thing, mate. You got to take chances on Paddy McCarthy. Like, I know he ain't the most experienced geezer about it, but you still got to like. It might go to shit. It might be all right. You know, got to just see what happens.
So Cam, so in terms of like you saying that it's going to be another like mediocre season, didn't you see any positives in the last 10 games that we might be able to carry on to next season?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's going to be. He'll get the best players like Eze. He got the best out of him, but yeah, but like the games like Wolves, like if you bring up that, it was a really really shit game. Like how many players got like yellow cards? I saw Johnson gave away. I don't know how arguable that penalty was, but still, like he'll get the best out of some players, but I really can't see anything happening like next season, honestly, no matter who we bring in.
So there's been a debate here about Steve Parish and about the board and the owners as a whole. So where do you stand with it? Do you have faith in Parish? Do you have faith in Textor? Like, where do you stand? Some people are like Textor in, Parish out. Some people are vice versa. Some people don't care. Where do you stand with it all?
I think I personally, I'll always back Parish because what he done in 2009 saved that. Well, 2009, when was it? Whenever he saved us.
2010, yeah.
2010, yeah. But I think the issue lies with Textor. Now, I love the American viewers. I love our American fan base, all that. But he's had too much suspicion about him and too much, like, you know, dodgy stuff. Like, I think he is a bit. And if you think about it, like all these players we've been linked with, they are from his teams, and I don't really want like Palace to be brought down with the teams like Leon. Leon had a bit of an underwhelming season in League One, you know. But I think Parish, he can dip his hand in his pocket a bit more than, but that's what we would like. But I think even like Harrison Blitzer as well, they're numpties, mate. All of, like Textor, Harrison Blitzer, get out and then get some more players, more staff that back. Well, what is it? Yeah. Not backroom staff.
Yeah, the boardroom. Boardroom staff. I'll be honest. I think you upset your biggest fan, Patrick. There.
I was
Patrick,
about to ask.
No.
How do you feel about that, Patrick?
No, Callum.
Yeah, exactly.
Opinion. He's allowed his opinion.
Oh,
no, but
okay.
Patrick,
But what I'll say now, can I speak, AJ? Can I speak?
Hey, go ahead.
Botafogo and Molenbeek have both had outstanding seasons under Textor. Now I know that AJ, he's doing that on purpose, Callum. AJ likes to send me these fake stories about Textor in our group chat to kind of wind me up, because I'm a big Textor fan. Until something comes out concrete, I've got no problem with Textor. Harrison Blitzer, agree. They tried to buy Chelsea, tried to buy Liverpool, get them out. I got no problem with Textor because I've seen what Textor tried to do. He tried to spend money for this club. He bought in players in our windows 2 windows ago. You don't like him, that's fine. I got no problem with that. But I'm telling you now, I like what Textor does. I like the multi-club model he's using. Botafogo is top of the league in Brazil. Molenbeek got promoted to the Belgian First Division. So I got no problem with that, what he does. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. AJ's trying to wind me up. Don't try it, AJ.
Yeah, but going back to Roy Hodgson and Palace next season, you don't really have much faith in terms of pushing up the table. But would you be happy with, I don't know, with maybe a good cup run, even if you finish like 12th, 13th, even though that's in the past he hasn't been that good in cups, Roy. But I'm just trying to think, if this is his last ever season as a manager, surely you'd want to end on a high, just like in a way like David Moyes. David Moyes and Roy Hodgson, bit different, of course, because Roy Hodgson is older and coming towards the end of his career, so like David Moyes still wants to manage. Do you think that we could see maybe Roy pushing on for the cups and trying to end on a, with a cup win? Maybe we haven't seen that in the past. That might change this time around.
Yeah, I believe. Obviously, I'd be ecstatic. I think all Palace fans would be ecstatic with a cup run. Last one we had was in 2021 with Vieira, but. I think I don't know a person who wouldn't be happy with a cup run, but I feel that's really like, no matter how much we Palace fans can dream on about a cup run, but do you remember the penalty shootout against Bournemouth when it was 14-13? And
Wayne Hennessy.
Yeah,
he
sprung over the bar.
I was doing a watch along back then. I remember I was doing it with someone else. So yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, but I think obviously I'd be happy with it, and but the focus for me is the league, and we can win cups, but if we really want to get to the next level, like even Roy said, we want to push for the top 10. He's not mentioned nothing about the Carabao or FA. I think if that's where you wanted to direct the team, then that's what you'd do.
So there's been a few comments. I think you mentioned it a bit as well about Paddy McCarthy, Gareth Southgate. Do you think this is what we're leading up to for next season? Potentially, if Gareth Southgate, it doesn't work out, he might become Palace manager, or Paddy McCarthy, he might take over from Roy. And would you be okay with that?
I'd be all right with Paddy McCarthy and even Gareth Southgate. I know, like that bit of the England team, like last year when they lost like 4 games in a row, but I feel like that was just down to bad run form, unlucky. But I think Paddy McCarthy, I wouldn't mind him. It is taking a risk, and obviously if it backfires, then that's on us. But he gets on. And Palace, we're looking at like a long-term project if we get Paddy McCarthy, because he's been with the youth, he's been with the under-23s, and they are a good team. They are a good bunch of lads. They are a good group of players. If we can get McCarthy in at the end of the season with Roy's mentor, like if you think about it, you wouldn't have anyone you would want to less rather mentor. Like if you were to take a mentor, you would want Roy Hodgson, because the amount of experience that man's had, he's learning from the best, and to get the players like JSR and Ebyawi through, and like Jake O'Brien, like players he's even coached like from since they were young, I imagine that he would try and pull them through the ranks.
I think it would be interesting to see what happens next in terms of Paddy McCarthy or Gareth Southgate. But for me personally, talking about now, I think Paddy McCarthy is a great appointment next to Roy Hodgson, because I think it helped last time around as well. In terms of when Paddy McCarthy came in alongside Roy, I think it built that connection between the youth players and also Roy Hodgson. I think there's that connection. Just like, I don't know if you guys remember Stephen Reed. Under Roy, it was like another coach. He was alongside Roy, and then when he left, there was that debate about have you fallen off because Stephen Reed has left. I feel like at times that third coach alongside Roy and Ray, is the key. I think Paddy McCarthy definitely must have helped them out, especially with, telling Roy about who can fit in where, etc. I think, it's definitely a good move. Go on, Sam.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but you do realise that, like, we're potentially considering someone to be a Premier League manager next year who has never managed a senior men's professional football game in his life, and he's going straight to the Premier League. That's ridiculous.
Wrong. He managed the Arsenal game you lost, remember?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, Patrick, you're cheeky for that. He managed the Arsenal game. No, but I'll be honest, Stan, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you, though. I agree. I don't want, personally, I'll maybe Paddy McCarthy might be the greatest coach of all time. Maybe that might happen. But I want him to go get experience somewhere else. You can make the debate about Arteta, but I think managing Arsenal, managing Paddy, two different things. You got better players to work with, better facilities, bigger budget. So I think with Paddy McCarthy, he needs to go get experience. But I respect what Callum says as well in terms of, if that's his opinion about Paddy McCarthy, then it might work out. Maybe Paddy McCarthy's a great manager.
With the McCarthy thing, but I need to see it. I think Callum makes a great point. He knows every single player in that youth system because he coached me with the 18 or 21. I want to see him play. Paddy knows those players. He knows Jacob Wright. He knows Raksaki. He knows Scott Bank. He knows every single player from they were 15, 16 to now. I've seen all the documentaries on the Palace TV. He knows every single one of those kids. Talk to Roy and get them playing. I'll have so much more respect for both McCarthy and Hodgson if they start putting them in the team, because you can't say you don't know those players. Because one of the things about Roy is he doesn't know X, Y, and Z players. Because he doesn't know. McCarthy knows his players. Get them some playing time, and then I'll be impressed. So
yeah. Well, Roy's still the manager, so Paddy McCarthy can give the suggestions, but it's up to Roy about whether.
Well, no, last year Oshie Roberts was the assistant manager. He ran the team according to you. Remember, you said that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but then again, that's Patrick. But then again, Patrick, if you want to go there, I think that's on a weak manager that was listening to his assistant not make his own decisions. Fair play. Look, Callum, before you go, out of 10, what would you give this Roy appointment? With 10 being the happiest man on earth, 1 being the most miserable man.
I'd give it a 5, mate. Just on the fence about it. I'm approaching with caution.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I think I'll give it a 5 as well. But look, Cal, really appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Appreciate
that. If you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, people, if you're new here. And if you want to join us live and call into the show, you can click on the pin comment in the live comment section to join us right now to have your say. Let's bring on, there's a few other people waiting behind the scenes who've been waiting for a while. Patrick is one of them. Let's bring on Patrick. Patrick, your main man, he's here.
No, we don't need him on the show. We know the
Roy's number one fan. Here we go. There's a banner underneath as well.
Get him off.
Yeah, it's a battle of the Patricks. Patrick, you're on mute. Yeah, it's not a great start.
There you go. I got the glasses. We can get it all in the shop store for the season. So real quick, let me get to the ownership thing real quick. The previous person, we talked about Textor. Nah, I've been on here a million times and gotten on the 2 American owners, Harris and the other clown. So that's the issue. You want them out first. I'm with Patrick. Unless something comes out about Textor we don't know about.
Man, I love this guy, man.
Right. No, but you won't love me in a couple minutes. But
exactly.
No. One thing at a time. Now, I love you. Right now, I'm
like, how many times? And everybody can do their research on Harris. They've nearly lost the 76ers because they wouldn't put enough money in the team. At the All-Star break, before that stupid process, they had 1 freaking win. Yep. 1. The NBA threatened to take the team from them, and all of a sudden they've been choking in the playoffs the last 6 years. They're no good. They should have never been brought into the club. That's on Parrish because I know he had them coming in. So that's the story. That's the facts. It's easy to look up, not in Wikipedia. So enough with that. Now,
Pat, let me get your what about your anti-Textor story? You got any of those for us?
Oh, no, I have no problem with Textor.
Oh, exactly. Tell AJ. AJ hates him. And so does Dee.
Well, I mean, look, just because
don't like him.
Until it comes out, they're rumors. Now, someone could easily say, hey, what you said about Harris was a rumor. No, that was a direct damn fact. You can look that one up. But until then, now,
can I just make a
rumors? If the rumors of Texan bouncing checks all over Brazil are true, okay, but that's just rumors. See, anybody could have made that up. I've read that on bad sites 16 different times. It is what it is.
Yeah. Patrick, you've got one point about Harris and Blitz, and I'm not defending them at all. Listen, I don't know them from Adam. I don't know what they do in this club. I don't know why. But one thing that I will say is these guys are Wall Street financiers, right?
Oh, they're billionaires.
They're billionaires. They're Wall Street financiers. What's it called? Parish has bought them in. They put some money into the club, I would imagine. I mean, you can't just not put anything in, or the club would.
That's only because Big Sam was going to use Steve Parish as a lawn dart if they did.
Yeah, but they put money in, obviously, to run in the club and stuff like that. But I think that they've probably looked at the ownership situation of this club, and they've looked at this golden share, and they're like, we don't want a part of this. There's nothing.
Sam, they knew about that coming in. They knew that coming in. You think Steve Parish is not going to tell them up front? Harris and Blitzer aren't stupid.
That's what I'm saying. They're Wall Street financiers. So
right. Has that helped us any since 2017?
Well, apparently they have.
I think during COVID, they were putting a lot of money into the club to keep it going, from what I've heard.
Yeah, they have. I think they have. But then the question is, it goes with all of them. Have they helped us to progress on the next level?
I'll be glad to debate that one with you, but okay.
Yeah, but Patrick, what do you make of the Roy appointment then? I mean, I know you're a bit here about the ownership, but what do you make of Roy? You're a big fan.
I just get so sick and tired of people just not doing their homework when it comes to Harris and them. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that's another show. For Roy, knowing that they're not going to get a lot of players, it was the best move they could have done. Because I think Roy just gets so much heat from you guys and others. I mean, look, I get it. You don't want to watch ugly football, but you know what manager has the most wins in Palace's history in the Premier League? Roy. And as for 14 wins in his second season, the most points during the Premier League era, 49. It's that's the guy saved our tail last year. Saved our tail. How many times what does he have to do to get you guys approved? And I don't mean y'all in general, but just the fans out there.
Patrick, yeah.
I mean, what does he have to do? I mean, my God.
Again,
right. Yeah, it's not ambitious, no shit. But he said, do you think all those interviews they had all those other managers? Why didn't you think they didn't hire them? They weren't going to spend any money. Roy will take the job. Now the whole top 10 talk. Roy needs to take his meds real quick, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but that's not a top 10 squad. I think they're going to have 12th place finish, have a cup run, and because he's done that here a couple of years ago, we did get to the quarterfinals and lost to Watford. That year they lost to Watford like 4 times. The year Watford got smashed in the final.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. You're a fan. You only picked us to finish 12th?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm realistic.
No, listen, man.
I deal in reality. First of all, out of the teams below us that we finished above, Chelsea's going to be better than us. Let's cut the crap. So that's that. Probably maybe West Ham. I don't know. Now, I do think either Brentford or Fulham will come back down. So I think 12th place would be a decent season with a decent point return. I'd take that. But I'm not as ambitious as y'all because I just deal in reality because you can't go up the ladder when you got bad ownership.
But, Patrick, it's the lack of I'm not against Roy Hodgson. Like, I think he's done wonders for this club, and I understand. But I just think it's the lack of progression, the lack of ambition. It's again, and I've been saying this for a lot longer than many others have been saying. It's the band-aid solution. It's lipstick on a pig every single year, apart from 1 or 2 transfer windows, right? And that's the issue. Listen, I've got no issue with Roy Hodgson. He's a wonderful man. He's saved his club a couple of times, okay? But I'm just saying, like, 10 seasons in the Premier League, and apparently Steve Parish has got this piece of paper where he's added up this formula that if you stay in the Premier League longer than 11 seasons, you're there for the rest of your life, or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, someone, you know?
I'm kind of like Patrick in a way of looking at it in reality. For me, I get excited over finishing 12th and beating one of the big teams, and because I just know with those owners, there's nothing going to change. So this whole thing about protests, get Steve Parish out. Look, if you think those other 2 American owners are so good, tell Steve Parrish to take a year sabbatical away and see where Palace is when he's gone.
Okay. So here's a question for you. Why is no one coming in to buy Palace? Why is no one coming in and going, Parrish, I'll give you 500 million for this club. I'm a multi-billionaire. I'll take it to the next level.
We're not for sale.
I can answer that.
We're not for sale.
Because they can't get a grocery. They can't settle with a grocery store chain to build a damn stand that's been on hold for what, 5 years? That might be.
Go ahead as well, AJ.
It's a complex ownership structure. There's nothing to benefit because for you'd have to put the most money for the largest share for the least say.
I'm saying buy the whole club. Buy all of
it. You have to buy the whole thing out, which means you have to buy out Harrison Blitzer, which would probably be worth X amount of billion. Well, not billions, that's pushing it. But X amount of hundred millions of pounds. And then you're only getting what? A 30%, 20% stay. Then you've got to buy out Textor for the 37% or whatever it is. But the most expensive person to get out of the club, who actually doesn't have any long-term structure or any decision-making from a new structure from buying in, the easiest buyout is Steve Parrish. But the problem is, in a buying at 10%, all it will take is Textor and Harrison Blitzer to turn around and just slap that person away because 10% doesn't buy you anything. But for you to have to stay in most complex business structures, you need a minimum of 25%.
I understand, but let's just say one individual comes in who's a multi-billionaire, let's say Robert Kraft, let's say, okay? And he goes, I just want to buy Palace. I'll buy all of them out and I'll run it myself. Because Bournemouth got bought. Newcastle obviously got bought by the Saudis. There's other clubs that are getting bought out. So why are we in the equation of getting bought?
We're not for sale. Like,
would Palace really be a team somebody would want to buy? I mean, I'm not being rude or ignorant, but they don't have the main stand even started. It wouldn't be to me if I'd buy a team in the championship or League One and try to go up that way. That's what a lot of these new owners are starting to do anyway.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that highly.
I'll say this. I think personally, a lot of people, even Palace fans, sleep on Palace's potential. I realize this over time as well. When people say who would want to buy Palace, who wouldn't want to buy a London Premier League club that's been in the Premier League for 10 years, that's built new academy facilities, that's still got room for growth, by the way, even if you want to buy it just for investment, that's got room for growth in terms of expanding the stadium. South London is a massive catchment area as well, that if you do actually invest in the squad,
areas in the world for players.
Yeah, if you do invest in this team still hasn't hit its ceiling. Like, this team can do a lot more, but it requires a lot of investment, and it requires someone that's willing to waste their money, willing to risk their money, and that has a crazy amount of money basically to waste to come into the side and to change that. That's the thing. But that's not even with Palace. That's with a lot of teams now. Like, we're competing against countries. If a new Palace owner was to come in, the harsh reality would be he won't be an ethical guy that wants to save the planet, etc. Yeah, there's not going to be an ethical billionaire. But saying that, I think there will be people that would want to buy Palace, because I'll be honest, if I had a lot of money, there is a lot of potential in this team. The fact that it's a London club that hasn't reached its potential yet, I think, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to become the first, Palace owner to win trophies like that? You can make the same argument. Who wanted to buy Man City? Man City was a risky approach because Manchester United was the established team. They still went and bought Man City over Manchester. So it depends. It really depends on the owner. It depends on if they have the wealth. If they have the wealth, I think Palace is an exciting project.
That question about who want to buy us, who want to manage us, is the question we're talking about today. We couldn't attract a manager.
Yeah, but then if someone Yeah, but if there was owners that were ambitious enough, I think a lot of people would want to manage Palace. Yep. It goes down to that. It's not that's the main thing about it.
And that's why I'm happy as Roy's managing the team, because until that ownership structure or whatever's holding us back is holding us back, he's the guy I want managing the team, because, just like Patrick said at the beginning of the show, we could easily go down. You know how close we were to going down last year? Now, y'all might disagree with me, but if Mateta doesn't kick that goal against Leicester, I'm just saying, we should not ever. We don't want to be in that position. So yeah,
you're gonna get Patrick going again on Mateta's important goals in a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
oh, but guess what? But guess what?
Because Patrick,
His goals are important. So that's look, Roy is
the biggest goal.
I'm just winding you up.
Biggest goal this season. It was. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's bigger than anyone goal this season. It was. It was.
Yeah.
I got 8 heads, but he knows that. Mateta had the biggest goal this year.
I just want to ask a question.
Ever had.
I want to ask a question to Roy and Patrick. Patrick, in terms of the ownership structure, and you're talking about it not change, what's going to change within this 1 year, though? Because I feel like, based on what you're saying, we're going to end up in the same position.
We get to stay up 1 more year. We get to stay
then
up.
What happens the next season? Then what happens next season?
It goes back to what Stan said, though. That 11 year, it goes back to what Paris says. 11 year in the Premier League, blah, blah, blah. That's what it comes down to, D.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to go, well, actually, it was 12, so we got to do this 1 more year.
Exactly. It was 13, 14, 15.
I just think, look, I get the people don't want Roy as the manager and not exciting and blah, 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 all that. Look, I like winning football, not pretty football. But that looks the best we can do right now. That's just the reality of it. Why didn't we hire those other managers?
11 Premier League seasons, and that's the best we can do. Super.
Well,
but that's not Roy's fault, though. That's what I get annoyed about the most.
Stan, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that Harris and them put money in the team, run the club, and then yell at them about no ambition. It doesn't work. It goes hand in hand. It goes together. Yeah, it sucks. That's the best ambition we got. If they truly interviewed all these other, quote, great managers, why didn't they take the job? Why? Because they knew they weren't going to have no money to spend. So Roy's the guy. Let's get behind him. Now the ownership.
I'm fully behind him, but I'm just.
It's not us, Pat. It's the board. It's not us. It's not us behind him.
Oh, we know that.
I think D think AJ. The board's got to back him, which is
and they won't. They're not going.
And exactly. Exactly right.
And I'm gonna end on this. I think when you're using that line that Roy said about this team could finish top 10, I think that was his only way of saying he put them out there like that. He throw that one liner out there, and let's see. He put it on them. Ain't no pressure on Roy. Roy, all he has to do is keep us up, which I think he will. So
1 year.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm happy for you though, Patrick, because you was raving on about Roy last season, so you got your man.
I didn't mean to take up the time about the ownership, but when I hear people like just not blame Harris or anything, I'm sorry, I got issues with that. So
yeah.
All right, I know I can't be the last guy here, so I'm gonna let y'all go.
All right, then take care, Patrick.
Cheers,
take care.
Take care, Patrick.
Take care. See you later.
Everybody. Take care.
By the way, I love Harrison Blitzer. No, I'm joking. Before Patrick,
No,
I'm joking.
I don't know.
I'm joking. I'm talking about the other Patrick, not you. Why are you getting triggered? I'm not even talking. I was meant to get the other Patrick triggered. You started getting triggered.
You said Patrick.
Yeah, but
I'm here and he's gone. So I think you're talking to me.
Yeah, he literally had a. Yeah, he was not happy about Harrison Blitzer. Let's bring on Tim next. Tim, how you doing, my man?
How you doing, Tim?
Holy moly! What did I walk into, man?
Yeah. Been a bit chaotic. Well, Tim? Hodgson coming back for another season. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you just taking it all in still?
No, I'm happy with it. I'll give you the rating up front. I think it's a 6 of 10 for me. I'm tempted to go 5 of 10, but it's a 6 of 10 for me because I did like the football we were playing at the end of last season. I do think that Roy and Ray have the capability to improve players, including the young players, even though I do agree you cannot expect that we're going to see all of the young players out on the pitch. History says that's not going to happen, but I hope that we'll see some of them. So I'm okay with it. I do think I would like to know that we can get a manager who we have reason to believe will be with us for, say, like 3 years, and we could put some money, behind that person and build something. But I'm having a hard time buying the argument that there's a couple things. I do get the frustration, and it is valid. I'll give you a couple of numbers that speak to where I think the frustration makes a lot of sense to me. So like, let's just look at 2022. So there's this, I know I'm going to start spouting finance geekery here. I swear I'll define it, so I'm not trying to confuse anybody. But the way that clubs across the Premier League measure operating profit, like this is what every club does. They measure operating profit this way. They use earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, EBITDA. And that is because every club does player trading. So EBITDA is, you can think of that as the profit before there's any player trading whatsoever.
EBITDA is take home, right?
It's not entirely take home, but it's pretty close. It's like it's the way you would think about if a football club never did any player trading, like what could it produce in terms of a profit, right? So you take Brighton and you take us. Like that's our most direct comparable because we can get similar match day revenue, that kind of stuff. So Brighton in 2022, fiscal 2022, like 16.6 million in EBITDA, us 15.9. Both EBITDA profitable before any player trading. What's the difference between us and Brighton? Tony Bloom writes a whole bunch of debt he underwrites Brighton, and they do a lot of player trading. And they've done player trading incredibly well, and we haven't. And historically, like we used to be able to produce EBITDA profit pretty consistently. And then the pandemic happened and we got whacked badly. And so we became one of the worst in the league in terms of EBITDA. So I think we're recovering a bit. 2022 was good in that sense. So I'm okay with a manager who I know is going to handle the players. I think is going to probably produce pretty decent football. I have to agree with Patrick that I don't know that we can get into the top 10. I do think it's hard. I mean, I agree with you, man. I think there's a hurdle there. I like the players that we've got. I do think it'll be hard. I love the ambition there to get there. I don't know that it's realistic to say that we're going to get into the top 10. I'll be delighted if we do get there. But I think the way I'm thinking about it, and you said something that I thought was interesting, Stan, like the idea that there's been no progression. I think you're right that like you look at trophies, you look at league position, like that is right. Like that's verifiable. I can't say that there hasn't been.
Yeah.
But the club is way better than it used to be. Like,
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, but the club is like that much away from being even better.
And that's the frustration, right? Like that is I'm so with you on this point. Like it's so close that I think as fans, the thing that I think we all share is we're like, we can sense exactly what you just said. Like we are so close. Oh my God, please, for the love of God, can you just spend 35 million pounds and get freaking Flo Balogun? Can I please have Balogun? For the love of God, I just want Flo Balogun.
But you know what I mean? Like, so you look at West Ham. Okay, we beat them twice last year. West Ham finished 15th, was it? I can't remember where they exactly finished.
Yeah, I think it was 15th. Yes.
But they've gone, like, they got into Europe the season before, and they've gone on a cup run.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and they're not that much better than us. Okay, they've got a free stadium, and they bought some players. But this is what I'm saying is that, like, we're so close to being potentially able to fight for something like this. But then we're just so far as well. It's just ridiculous. It's really frustrating.
West Ham spent about £120 million though last season.
Like let me put a financial framing around that for a second, because it's a really good point. It's a couple things to keep in mind. The first thing to keep in mind is that the margin of safety that West Ham has and the margin of safety that we have are orders of magnitude different.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the first place where it's different. They get 4 times the match day revenue.
Yeah, there you go.
You could go back and look at 10 years ago. You can look at what, like, the first interview that Parrish did. I'm still I'm backing Parrish. I get the complaints, but the reason is he's been consistent in terms of what he wants to do forever. The main stand has been an issue for a really long time, and it's been delayed for a really long time. I don't know how much of that is Parrish and how much of, like, I don't know UK law. So I don't know how much of that is just like City of London getting in the way and you just can't get over the line because things are so hard. I don't know the answer there.
So answer to your point, Daniel Levy built a stadium in 2 years. That's what I'm just saying.
Okay.
I don't think it's 2 years though.
Yeah, I mean, I
the process to build it, like the planning and stuff, it took much longer than that. If you search it up, because I thought the same, but it was quite a while. It feels like similar to Palace, but they built a new stadium. They're not building a new stand. That's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but go back 10 years and you can see that he literally was talking and doing the math and saying, like, if we can build a new main stand and if we can get to 35,000 people or somewhere in there, we can materially change the financial fortunes of the club. Like, he's literally talking about the way to change the levers inside of the club. So he's been planning this for 10 years, like since we first came up to the Premier League the first time. It's not great. But I would also say, like, the plan that we were on got completely derailed. Now we're back to EBITDA positive. We're not spending. I don't know how much. I don't know how much we're going to get for the transfer window. I don't think really anybody knows. I'm deeply frustrated that we don't know. And I guess the biggest issue I have, and here's maybe my question for all of you as part of this. I think my frustration isn't that we're not doing things, because I think we are doing things, and I think I can see a better way forward. My frustration, and I don't know if any of you share this, so I'm asking, is that I don't know that it's clear, because the club communicates with us. It's a little bit inconsistent, and it's hard to know exactly where we're heading and how we're getting there. Instead, because more like generalities. It's like, well, you know what? We're pushing on. We're kicking on. We're going to build a big main stand, and we're going to go to the next level. And I don't know what the next level is. So tell me what the hell the next level is. That's the only real problem I have, is what is the next level?
So
I agree. I agree.
Great point. So listen, I've been a Pats fan for a very, very, very long time, and you're absolutely right. We 100% have progressed, because in the past, every year Pats got promoted, they got relegated the next season, every single time under any other team. So 100% we have definitely moved on. The issue is, and Mukhtar had a comment before about the communication. You're right. Parrish does not tell us anything anymore. He used to tell us stuff, but now it's like, we sign a player, he'll put stuff out on the website. We signed a manager today. I saw here, I didn't read them. There's some quotes about him and Hodgson today. He doesn't communicate. So you're right. What is the next level? Because for me, is yes, of course I understand promotion. I mean, staying in the division is important. I get all that, because it's important for the academy to continue to progress, and it's important for the the stand to get built. But after that, what's the plan? We've got our best ever player, Wilfried Zaha, who made the comment a year ago that he wanted to see the team push on, who probably would have stayed without a doubt had we shown ambition of any kind, the way that West Ham has done in order to, get into Europe, whatever. And now we don't know if he's back tomorrow, maybe he won't. I know he got married yesterday, etc. I don't know what's going on. But my point is, if you show ambition and you communicate, then things are different. But he doesn't communicate with us. So as a fan of 50 bloody years, I need to know what we're going to do, because I understand the standing point. But at this point, I don't care. I want to win a cup. I've said this a minute. I don't care about staying in the league anymore. I want to win a cup, because I want to have something to say. Okay, my team, Crystal Palace, have won this. All right, we're FA Cup
Right.
champions.
And you want it to not be the Zenith Data Systems Cup. I get it.
Exactly, going back to, because that carries no water. I love the cup that actually carry. It carries nothing. And the Dean goes on these shows against West Ham fans, and they're making fun of him and saying, "Well, have you ever won?" Well, guess what? I won the FA Cup in 2023. Do you know what I mean? Because it means something.
Yeah.
At the time, it means something, as opposed to, well, we've been in the league for 10 years, and I mean, that's great, and building a new stand. We've got a great academy, Cat One, and Ruben Sahar is brilliant, and blah blah blah. Eze in the England squad. You know what I mean? Something that I can hold on to. So,
yeah,
anyway.
I'm with you on that. I definitely want to see it. Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry, Tim. So again, I think you've made like some fantastic points there. Obviously, appreciate you coming on and doing your research and obviously making them, because I think they're brilliant. So there's a couple of things. So going to the next level, I think. Listen, we were 8 minutes away from winning an FA Cup in 2016.
Oh, you're ripping the Band-Aid.
Okay. I was there.
I was there as well.
Yeah.
And we didn't, but we've not really, we've been in the semi-final, we've been in the quarter-final, but we've not really come close. And I think, the frustrating thing last season was that we lost to Newcastle on penalties, and we took a really crap team up there, and they ended up going to the final. So that could have been the route to us. I just think there's a couple of things here. I think the next level, like he's saying, you build this stand, we're going to be consistently top 10. We're going to be playing in cups. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing that. I personally don't believe it, because I understand he's going to get, maybe 15,000 more people in the ground. But there's teams so far ahead of us already. It's going to be very difficult to catch them. I think the other problem is why the fan base is so divided, because I think you've got 50% of us that want to see real progress. And I'm not saying go and win the Premier League or go and sign Lionel Messi. I'm realistic progress. And you've got another 50% of fans that are just why are you complaining? It's Palace. What more do you expect? Do you know what I mean? And I think
I do know what you mean.
That's listen, we're not owned by Simon Jordan anymore. We're not a joke. Do you know what I mean? We're not owned by Mark Goldberg. We're not a joke. We're not a joke, right?
Facts.
We're an established Premier League club. And what do you mean? Oh, what do you expect? It's Palace. Just be happy. No, Palace 11 Premier League seasons. Come on, do something. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I like I mean, that's understandable, Stan. And I think, I guess where I land on this, you have here's another way to think about it. I'm personally, I mean, I know I come from this. I have two American biases. The first American biases I want to see us buying more American players, because I think that that's actually a way for us to buy and get more for our money. Of course, I'm totally biased. AJ's completely right, has called me out on this, and he's 100% right. It's 100% true. I am absolutely biased. Facts. But I will also say, I do not want us to sell out to a billionaire American VC under any circumstances. I don't want us going public.
We've got two of them already.
And I would prefer. I look. Harris and Blitzer did. Patrick's right. Harris and Blitzer raise more questions and provide answers, and I think part of the reason for that is we don't know what they've been doing. They did put 50 million into the club early on when they first came on, and it's a real black box since then. Except we know that they wanted to get in on Chelsea and they wanted to get in on Liverpool. So that's, I mean, if you want another club, please go get another club and leave ours alone. That would be better. So, but I don't want a sugar daddy American VC, because you just don't know what you're asking for. I'll say this, I mean, AJ brought this up before about the golden share, dude. In America, that is way too common. I mean, that's my job, and I cover these companies all the time. They're called B shares. This is why Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook outright. This is why the original creators of Google still own Alphabet. Like, this happens everywhere in the US. It's probably rare in the UK. I don't know. But in the US, it is everywhere, dude. So this kind of structure is not alien to me, but I do think it's less than ideal because it has a feature to it which really sucks for us as fans. So Textor, for example, owns, I think it's 46% of the club now.
Yeah.
But for every major decision, it's still a 4-person vote. It's still a 4-person vote. Textor gets 1/4 of the votes. So for this manager decision, for example, in Matt Woosnam's article, board was split. Somebody held out and said, I don't want Roy. 3 said yes, 1 said no. If I believe,
I think,
and
I think it. Look, it's talking about board prediction. I don't think this is. I'm not saying this 100% accurate, but we know Steve Parish wanted him. That's right. And also, based on what Parish has been saying, even the overlap, but Parish bigged up Harrison.
Yeah,
Blitz
he said they've been brilliant.
Well. So I think I think the odd one out is John Textor.
Another reason I love John Textor. Bang, Mike.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, hold on. Before you say that,
he also put 35 million into the club in January, but no one mentions that either.
No.
Anyway,
but before you say that, let's. I mean, I'm not against Textor by any means, but you got to know who this guy is. Let's be clear about who this guy is. He is not a billionaire. He has as much money as Steve Parish does. He's like $250 million. He was the executive chairman of Fubo TV here in the U.S. after he got Fubo to buy out FaceBank. And then that became a merged company. And then he was the CEO for a little while, washed his hands of it, got away from it. And in 2020, took a boatload of money with him. Fubo is not doing all that well right now. I'm not saying that's because of him. I don't know. But he is clearly ambitious. The thing that he has not proven, to me at least, Patrick, is that he knows how to build something sustainably from the ground up and actually grow it organically. Because here's where we are. Please remember, people, where we are. He has said with his company, Eagle Football, that he is trying to raise capital for all of his clubs. To do that, he has taken a $75 million investment through a financial vehicle. This is called, here in the U.S., it's called Iconic Sports Acquisition Corporation, ICNC. If you want to look it up on the SEC, I've been checking this every day to see if there are any new filings from this company, because by July 26th, this is the second deadline. This is the second deadline, right? So they already missed the first. In April, they were supposed to make a decision about whether or not they're going to buy out Eagle Football and merge those two. That got deferred. That didn't happen. So they went to the shareholders and said, can we have more time? Yes, you can have more time. Your next deadline is July 26th. So by July 26th, we should know whether or not Textor takes Eagle Football and makes it public. And if he doesn't, then he's got 9 more tries until I think it is next April of 2024. And if that doesn't happen, then Iconic folds up and says, all right, we tried, but it didn't work. So I literally, I mean, I get that John Textor is probably the ambitious one here.
But it
I don't yet trust that John Textor is the guy. I don't trust him yet. I don't believe any of the conspiracies, but I don't trust him yet.
No, let me jump you first. That is honestly the best and most honest pick I've ever heard about Textor, and I appreciate it because all I ever hear is speculation. And now you told me that, I'm going to look up Iconic. I'm going to check that date on 26 because now there are facts out there, and I appreciate that because all I ever hear is speculation. He doesn't have this and that and the other. But that's
If I doesn't have the money, though, Patrick. Yeah, but Tim explained why he doesn't have the money.
He's only listening to you because you're American. If I had said the same thing in a British accent, he wouldn't have listened.
You ain't got no facts, bro. You got no facts. Tim's got facts.
I sent this man articles. I sent this man articles from the Observer and the friggin' what's the one that the Economist and all that kind of stuff. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to know.
But that's a bunch of stuff over Twitter, which I'm not even on anymore.
Propaganda, mate. Propaganda.
That was my theory all along. I think John Textor has that ambition. I think John Textor has ambition, but I don't think he has the money to run like 4 clubs or 5 clubs that he has.
Tim,
that's been my biggest problem about it from day one. I'll be honest.
That's fair.
Tim, I've got one question. Tim, I've got one question. I don't know if you might know that you may not know the exact answer, but you seem to be quite passionate about the finance side of things. So, obviously, with the merger that he tried to originate, and obviously it failed. Why did it fail?
You mean with? You mean with
the Eagle Holding and the was it Iconic Sport?
Yeah. Okay, so that it's up to the blank check. Okay, yes, I can tell you that. So it's up to the blank check company to make a bid to buy out Eagle Football. So there's a bunch of negotiations in the background. None of us get to see what those negotiations look like. What we know is that they took kind of what in investing you would just call a starter position. They said like, okay, here's a related party, gave him $75 million. Gave him $75 million and said, okay, here's $75 million, and we will value Eagle Football at $1.2 billion. And so then the next step would be to say, okay, we think $1.2 billion is a fair valuation. Let's do a deal. And then Eagle Football will come public, become the governing body. It would take over that blank check company. So Iconic Sports Acquisition would go away, and in its place would be this publicly traded entity called Eagle Football. So the only reason that would not have happened, AJ, is that they just couldn't agree on terms. Like either Textor wanted more money, or the terms weren't good enough, or maybe the investors wanted more assurances. But I mean, Iconic, basically, you could just think of them as a big bag of money. Somebody's got a big bag of money, and they're looking at targets and saying, what do we want to buy? We have one over here called Eagle Football that we could buy at a $1.2 billion valuation. Do we want to do that one? And so far, they've said no. And I don't know why. Nobody's saying why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But then that brings up one last question. Who owns Iconic? Because does that then mean that if they then bought out the Eagle Holdings, that John Textor's out of the picture and then we're dealing with a brand new entity altogether?
No, it would mean no. It would, because they would buy it, and they would orchestrate some kind of equity stake, but Textor would not. He can do that and not give up control of Eagle Football. He's never
another golden share, eh?
I mean, in a way, yes, but it's just like the way that equity investing works. It's just like he's basically selling a portion of the company, and then he becomes like the controlling shareholder, and that's that's the deal. I mean, it's a collection of investors. It's a London-based investing vehicle, and they are. I mean,
London-based. Those English.
It is. Who's? Why am I? This is so terrible. I'm forgetting my football history. You guys will help me out. The former Chelsea. Former Chelsea. Former Chelsea star. He was a star player. And then he went into business after he just passed away. Is it Gianluca?
Gianluca Vialli.
Thank you.
Oh, Vialli. Okay, yeah.
Vialli was a part. Thank you. Was a partner in this, and then they had to reorganize after he passed away.
And he passed away. Oh, okay.
So
Okay, that's
what you're
interesting.
saying
Yeah,
is
that's very
Mr.
interesting.
Textor is spreading himself even more thinner. Okay.
I
makes
just want,
sense.
I just want to say, sorry, I just want to quickly jump in. The reason why I was laughing is because the chat is killing me. Just him was like going in depth about, I don't know how we started. Tim was going in depth about finances. Then someone said Edward will be playing left inside forward. Someone said Edward's in the bin. Someone said Mateta's worse than Edward. It's like they're having like a mid of like there's a whole different like conversation going about strikers.
Nice.
It was killing me.
At the bottom,
Like,
we
it
need
was
to
killing
buy a
me. Like,
striker.
there's a debate about Edward and Mateta. It's like, I mean, geez, they're both as bad as each other, but it's the fact that people
Fantastic.
are like going at it with Edward.
Bring me Balogun. Bring me Balogun. Come on.
That was, I can't lie, it caught me off guard. It just came out of nowhere, and yeah. Sorry. I just had to say it just came out of nowhere. It just made me smile. And then Crane said Mateta has poor attacking position for 6'3" man. You can't head the ball. Like, I don't know how we started, but people are just debating Edwards versus Mateta just randomly. They're both as bad as each other. I mean, this is where we're at as a football club. We're talking about 6'3" man that can't hit the ball. Exactly. But Tim, we have to spend money. And you're talking about
that's the one. Well, I mean, like you can. I mean, there are certain times you invest, and I don't want a billionaire sugar daddy. I want an investor who understands that you can grow the value of your investment if you invest in assets that bring you football success. Period. That's a fact. If you are that kind of investor and you get that you are building a more successful football club that gets cups, that moves up the table. That's not about profits. Profits come after football success. That's just a fact. And that's what we want as fans. So it's not incompatible. What I don't want is Todd Bowley. That's not, I mean, I don't care how rich that guy is. He's thinking about it wrong. That is not the guy. What that guy wants is to like 4x Chelsea's revenue. He can drive that club directly into the ground thinking like that. I want what Parrish is trying to do with a little bit more money, a little bit more ambition, and get me a freaking striker for the love of God.
Mando Broja.
Yeah, you're not the only one on that.
No, sorry,
yeah, go on, Patrick.
Wasn't Todd Bowley successful with the American team that he owns, though?
He's been relatively successful with the Dodgers. Yeah, right. He's not a dumb guy, but the way he's thinking about getting a return on his Chelsea investment is we gotta multiply the revenue that Chelsea generates.
I have a news flash. I didn't realize.
Oh no!
He owns Strasbourg.
Does he really?
They have a new manager.
Yeah, he does.
They have a new manager.
Oh yeah,
who their coach is.
Wow. No, they do. Yeah, they do. So it was recent.
Wow.
It's a recent thing. Yeah, that's why.
He didn't get players over there. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Well, that's why people were saying that Chelsea brought an Arsenal legend over to take over the new club or something like that. That's what's going on. Because Todd Bowley now owns Strasbourg.
Again, I don't go on Twitter. Is that on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, people were talking about how Vieira went because of Chelsea buying the legends or whatever. I don't know. It was a pointless debate. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, there's lots of all these American owners have this multi-club model now. I think that's the move. But Tim, do you think that's the right way forward?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. This point has been made many times on this show. I've heard it most from T about how, like if you want to set it up with right.
Sorry. No, sorry. There's a comment saying Strasbourg. Sorry.
Leave JP alone, man. Let the guy live, man. Seriously.
No. Someone says Strasbourg can have Mateta.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
But
sorry.
The multi-club model, I don't have a huge issue with it. I think it's interesting if you are trying to find places where you can loan players, where you can get loans, and where you can get experience if you're buying from international markets, like buying from. I mean, so it does make sense. And but I don't think it's like it doesn't really solve the big issues. You still have to be a sustainably built club. And let's be honest, like what we want to do is be able to get players up through the academy. We want to be a club that sells well but rarely. And I mean, even though that's our model, if we want to be honest about the last 10 years, how many times have we really sold profitably? We had 3 players that we could have sold hugely profitably. 2 of them we sold, Yannick Bolasie and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The other one we could have sold is Wilf. If we were going to, and if we sold Wilf, I don't know that we'd be having the same kind of conversation we're having right now. Like Bolasie and Wan-Bissaka, we got between them, I think it was about 90 million pounds.
We sold Wan-Bissaka for 50 million.
Right. And I think we sold
money
40
was invested back into that squad. None of the money was invested back into the squad. If we sold Wilf, I don't know. But listen, we might have to sell to buy in the next couple of weeks. Like you don't know, right? I don't know who they're going to sell, but yeah.
I mean, I do think we want to get to the stage now. We're in this weird transition period where I hope again in this next couple of seasons, hopefully next season, where we're starting to build a flywheel where we bring some players up, we sell some youth on, we sell some senior players on, we bring them up, we fill gaps. We don't have to do the sort of crazy worldwide recruiting that Brighton does, because that's not who we are, but who we figure out how we bring quality players through the academy. I don't know, man. I hope that we get to that point. I think that is the most sustainable model we can get. We've never proved it. We haven't
done it, yeah.
So
until we do it, exactly, we might even flop on that. Like, it's not as easy as Brighton have done it, but Brighton have very good recruitment. We might easily, sell some of these players and not replace them with adequate replacements, and then things can go to south. So I think that's one part of it as well. I don't think the club want to risk it. I think if they were so confident in their approach, they would have probably done it this window. But I don't think they're willing to risk that approach yet. It's like they're trying to delay for as long as possible, maybe till the new main stand is built or not. But you would have expected some of these assets. We expect maybe Gahey to be sold, or at least one of them to be sold. But it doesn't seem like anyone's going to be sold. And it's a question of how long we're going to continue like this, because we know that we have to sell one of them. So that's
hope
where things get interesting.
Guys,
I hope it's next year.
Jump off.
I hope it's next year. I took up way too much time, so I got it.
Roy Hodgson's no Blue Army.
See you, Stan.
Yeah. So
I stayed on way too long, man, and talk your guys' ear off. But hopefully that.
No.
Look.
No, it was brilliant, man. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. We're gonna wrap it up anyways. Because it's getting pretty late here. But before we do, there's someone waiting behind the scenes. So I want to bring him on quickly. Tim, before you do go, out of 10, what do you rate this Hodgson appointment in terms of how happy you are?
I'm 6 out of 10. I want to see. I want to see the next phase of Roy Ball with better players. I thought it was good last year, and I want to see how we progress. I want to see Balogun do it. 35 million. Do it.
I agree. I agree. Let's do it.
All right.
Exactly. Let's show a bit of ambition. All right then, Tim. Really appreciate your time.
Take it easy. Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Let's quickly bring on because he's been waiting for a while. It'll be rude to not bring him on. How you doing? It must be good for you. I'm sorry, by the way. It must be good for you. Hodge coming back to the club. You probably have a few memes under your belt, but forget about the memes for 1 second. What do you make of Hodge coming back? Are you happy?
It's a bit mixed. Of course, I ain't angry at him coming back. I had a feeling he was going to come back after the end of the season, but just a little bit miffed that we didn't. I would have preferred someone else, obviously, but I'll still take him.
Yeah. What was it that you had question marks about Hodgson coming back? That you weren't really too certain about?
I was just, will we revert back to that how we played during that lockdown season, which was, in our words, excruciating. I probably butchered that word. It's
No, you
late.
said it right. Yeah, you said it right.
Oh, cool. It's late, but yeah. Anyway,
No, you said it fine. You said it fine. There's nothing wrong with the word you said. Yeah. Sorry, what was you saying?
Nah, that was my point.
Oh yeah.
Fear we might go back to
the old method. But then don't you see the positives as well in terms of Roy coming back to the club and what he'd done in the last 9 games in terms of getting the best out of certain players like Eze? Don't you see those positives of him coming back? Maybe if you can do that for another full season, God knows how many goals and assists Eze could get.
Yeah, that's positive. Like, you got the best out of everyone in that team. Eze, for example, shined under him. At least they started to find his form, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, in terms of expectations, then what is it for next season that you want the club to achieve? Realistically, Roy Hodgson has said that he wants a top 10 finish. But do you think that is achievable?
Yeah, I do want the top 10 finish, like we all do, like everyone else. But with the squad we have right now, like it's not looking that way right now. But we have to. That's why transfer window's open. Get those players in. Obviously, striker will do. You'll want Balogun, but apparently Arsenal put in a 50 million price tag for him.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. I was saying that I don't think Palace will pay that. I mean, that's half of the new main stand. So I think that's a bit difficult to do. But in terms of transfers, is it a striker that you want to see? Is there any other position that you think we need to strengthen to push on to that top 10 finish?
I want a right back, but with Ward and Klein signing on, and Ferguson, I potentially don't see that.
Mate. I mean, we've got 3.
I mentioned Ferguson.
we got 3, so that's going to be very, very unlikely. So in terms of out of 10, what would you give the Roy Hodgson appointment then? In terms of how happy you are?
5.
5. Yeah, we've had a few 5s today. I think 5 is like the average number so far. In terms of people, I think people are waiting to see what happens at the end of this window as well, because the transfer window is still open. If we show a bit of ambition in the window, which personally I don't think we will do, but hopefully the club proves me wrong and we do show ambition, then I feel like more people will be okay with it. But it just depends on the ambition in the market as well. If you can show that, then, and if we could strengthen some of this position that you've even said it yourself, then I think that rate probably it might go up to like maybe 6 or 7 because we had a decent window. But it all depends on the window. But before you go, of course, I have to ask: do you have any like memes in the making?
No, I'm waiting to the next season starts. I did put out Roy coming back, but that's about it right now.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Well, look, we all look forward to next season. But thank you for coming on and having a say as well.
All right. Thanks.
All right, then take care.
Yeah, mate.
Take care, mate.
That was all. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up. But before we do, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, people. And thanks to every single one of you that is tuned in live tonight and that's called into the show, that's left the comments. It's nearly gone on for nearly 2 hours. But it was due to happen. With Hodgson coming back, there's going to be a lot of opinions, a lot of voices. Yeah, go on.
You didn't ask me and AJ for our ratings out of 10. We didn't get yours.
Oh, yeah.
We're not important enough, mate. We're just employees.
I know, mate.
No. Well, I'm tired, man. I'm genuinely tired. It's like nearly 12 a.m. I'm tired. I've had a long day. I get it. I've had like 2 streams talking about Roy Hodgson. What do you expect me to do? Let's get. Yeah.
5.5.
Oh, we like
Patrick, 7.
D. No D. You. I'm gonna go last.
I mean, 5. Yeah, I'm gonna go for 5 as well. What about you? 0?
2.
2. Oh, that's good.
2.
That's quite high. That's quite high for you, man. I was expecting so much lower than that.
Let's see how long that 2 lasts. Before that moves up to a 5 or 6. It won't take too long. Don't worry about it. It won't take too long until you realize it's a 5 or 6.
No, the decision to hire him is a 2. That's not going to change. Whether we get plays in is great, but the decision to hire him was the question. Is a 2. It was a no-brainer for Parrish. It was easy for him to do, and it's very underwhelming. I mean, if it's not underwhelming for you guys, then kudos to you. But I mean, for me, it's underwhelming as possible. So
when we win both cups and finish in Europe next season, I'm coming back to this video.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll see what underwhelming is. Well, Patrick thinks we're gonna get relegated. You haven't said that, Patrick, all along in the stream, but I thought I'd put it out there. You still think we're gonna get relegated?
I have 2 bets that to back up. With this current squad, 100%.
That is wild.
Without Will,
but at least this at least we could use the excuse that you've been talking for like 2 hours and maybe like you was tired and you didn't mean it. At least that's what I asked it towards the end. That's crazy. Well, hopefully we don't get relegated, but I don't think we're gonna get relegated. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I'll be honest with you.
No, I don't want to. But people, you asked me if I thought we were going to get. I said, yeah. I mean, it's my opinion.
No, I know, of course. That's crazy. I don't know.
Wait. Okay, before we leave, where do you think we're gonna finish? Honestly, this season, D. Honestly, where do you think we're gonna finish? Honestly, right now, no additions. Right now, what do you think?
It's a bit hard. No, I was gonna go for top 4, but because the Wilf is gone, I'll settle for top 7.
Right,
look, on that note, people.
AJ, no, AJ, where do you think we're gonna finish, mate? You'll get your chance to think about it in a minute. 2 seconds. All right.
11th.
All right. With chest, right?
Well, we already asked you. You think we're gonna get relegated? So yeah. So everyone's got their own little brand. Bottom 3. We'll see, people. But look, we should be back tomorrow as well for Palace News. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to check out all the latest Palace content. Unfortunately, it's not done. There's gonna be more Palace content coming. Or you can see, unfortunately, because Roy's here. Some of you are happy, some of you are sad, some of you are crying, some of you are over the moon. So it depends on how you feel about it. But if you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And that's it from me, AJ, Patrick, Stan, and every one of you that joined us live. And until next time, up the Palace, people, and keep safe.
Up the Palace.